All right, so today we're going to dive into this really chilling story from ancient history. It's one that often gets overlooked, but it's actually the grim prelude to one of the most famous showdowns between a prophet and a king.
I mean, that's really the heart of it, right? It's a question with incredibly high stakes, something that is echoed through history. When truth decides to confront power, what actually happens to the person telling that truth?
You see, before the famous prophet Jeremiah ever faced his own life or death trial, the entire court was haunted by the memory of another prophet, a man named Urijah. His fate was a chilling precedent, a stark warning of what happens when you challenge the king. So let's get into it.
So, who exactly was this man who cast such a long shadow?
Well, Urijah wasn't from some famous, powerful family, but his hometown, Kirjath-jearim, it was a huge deal. For about 20 years, it was the resting place of the Ark of the Covenant, the literal symbol of God's presence. The irony here is just staggering. A man from a town defined by God's presence was about to be killed for speaking God's word.
Now, this is absolutely crucial to understand. Urijah wasn't some kind of false prophet or a rogue agent. The historical record is crystal clear. He prophesied according to all the words of Jeremiah. They had the exact same message. This wasn't a matter of opinion. It was the same warning, coming from two different messengers.
So how did the king, a guy named Jehoiakim, react to this pretty dire warning?
Yeah, not with quiet reflection, but with pure rage. The reaction was immediate. It was absolute. There was no trial, no debate. The king heard the prophecy, and his first instinct was to eliminate the prophet. He took the message as a personal attack.
And make no mistake, this wasn't just the king having a bad day and losing his temper. He brought in his top military brass and his political advisors. This was a calculated official government response. It was state-sponsored persecution. For speaking a message from God, Urijah was branded an enemy of the state.
So facing an execution order from the king himself, Urijah does what any sane person would do. He runs.
He escapes to Egypt. And on the surface, this seems like a really smart move. Think about it. Egypt had literally just put Jehoiakim on the throne, making Judah basically a client state of Egypt. What better place to hide than with the superpower who controls your enemy, right?
But here's the fatal flaw in his plan. The entire political landscape was shifting under his feet. Just a few years after Urijah ran, the rising power of Babylon absolutely crushes Egypt at the Battle of Carchemish. That battle basically ended Egypt's dominance in the region for good. Urijah had fled to a fading power, a refuge that was built on sand.
But King Jehoiakim? Oh, he wasn't about to let a little thing like an international border get in his way.
What happens next is a relentless international manhunt. The king sends one of his highest-ranking officials, Elnathan, all the way to Egypt. This wasn't just a few guards sent to track him down. This was a formal diplomatic mission with one single deadly purpose: bring the prophet back. It just goes to show how obsessed the king was with silencing this one voice. In the end, it comes swiftly and it is brutal. Urijah is captured, he's extradited, and then he's executed personally by the king himself. But the final insult, the ultimate act of desecration, was the burial. Instead of a proper grave, his body was just thrown into a common burial pit. It was an attempt to completely erase his memory and his legacy right along with his life.
One true prophet, murdered by his own king simply for speaking the truth. And with that single event, a terrifying precedent was set for anyone else who dared to speak out.
So why does this brief, tragic story matter so much? Why are we even talking about it?
Because it didn't end with Urijah. His death became the unspoken threat hanging over the next prophet to stand before that king. So later, when Jeremiah is put on trial for delivering the very same message, everyone in that room remembered Urijah. They had seen this movie before. Urijah's ghost was basically the star witness, proving just how much danger Jeremiah was really in.
So what are the big takeaways from Urijah's fate? Well, first, that being faithful and telling the truth doesn't come with a guarantee of physical protection. And second, that what looks like a safe political bet can vanish in an instant. In the end, Urijah's death wasn't just a tragedy. It became this powerful, silent testimony to the ultimate cost of confronting unchecked power.
He spoke the truth. The greatest political power of his day couldn't save him, but his story survives, a stark and timeless reminder of the incredible courage it takes to deliver an unwelcome message and the terrible price that is sometimes paid for it.